Understanding research results, numerical versus verbal data. It's really important for a researcher to know the nature of data before going for the results section of the study. And when the results are taken and the data is collected, then the nature of the results and the nature of the data is supposed to be very well understood by the researcher. In this session, we are going to talk about the nature of data and a little bit of the comparison between numerical as well as verbal data. And this is really important because we must know that how the data is analyzed and how it is presented in the results section of a research paper or a thesis, a dissertation. There is, a very strong discussion in the literature regarding the nature and the strength of results, that whether numerical data is superior or verbal. And it's really, a discussion which must be read and must be understood by researchers. The point is that this discussion is because of the, the statistical or the numbers which are used while presenting results. Like this question is that, is numerical data more scientific? Because there are numbers which are used and the statistics which are used. Generally, people think that this numerical data is superior, and it's mainly because of the statistical tools which are used, or the figures or the statistics which are presented in a research paper or in a thesis. But this is just a common approach by people. We need to know this discussion. Verbal construct is normally transformed into numbers, and then the numbers are again converted into verbal constructs or concepts or ideas to make sense of the data, right? So we must know this transformation, particularly for qualitative studies, when constructs are transformed into numericals, percentages, ratios, averages, right? And then again, in order to make sense of the data, the numbers are translated into constructs, right? So we must know this, transformation and this translation of concepts and constructs, numbers, figures of statistics, and then again the sense or the the constructs. Okay, so this is really important for researchers to know that we are dealing with the data, the results, and whether it is numerical or verbal, but we are dealing with the same thing. Okay, so this misconception that the numerical data is superior, okay, this should be clear and this should be understood by researchers. There is another point that the qualitative researchers who really believe in the insight or the qualitative aspect of the studies, researchers, they think that words render more meaning. And obviously, because words and concepts and ideas, when they are presented qualitatively, they are quite weighty, and they carry more meaning than simple numbers or numericals, right? But that's one aspect of the picture. We must also believe that numbers are at times very important and they are required, but they are equally important. Numerical as well as verbal data, they are equally important, and as per the nature of the research design, the nature of data must be used. In numerical data, the substance is actually translated into arithmetic. Okay, as earlier discussed, that this is something which is another form of the same thing. So the substance or the construct which is qualitative, which is in the form of words initially, that is transformed or translated into numbers, statistics, okay, for the sake of quantitative data. When you are particularly dealing with quantitative data, then again, in order to make sense of that quantifications or those statistics, we need to go again to the substance, right, to the concepts and to the constructs. Okay, so we must be, believing that the numerical as well as verbal data both are really important, and that numbers are as good as constructs. Okay, numerical data is as good as verbal data, and as very active, very good researchers, we must be maintaining a balance. We need a balance, particularly when we are dealing with some studies which are, based on everyday issues in social sciences. Then we must be maintaining a balance, and that balance is between numerical as well as verbal data. Both have equally important place, and both must be used whenever required by the nature of questions, research questions, and both must be properly understood by researchers, right? So it's not only the nature of data which is making your study superior or inferior, but it is the understanding of a researcher to not only understand the difference between the two, but also the need, that when is the need for numerical data and when it is required to go for verbal data, right? So these are the points which must be known to good researchers and active researchers.